So today's a bit of a different episode. I say, as if reviewing multiple Spiteworks was a common thing I do on the channel. Regarded as Nintendo's biggest console flop until the Wii U came out, the Nintendo Gamecube was largely ignored by the larger gaming community when it was first released, since it didn't bring as much to the table when compared to the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. And yet, despite all of that, this was one of my favorite Nintendo consoles of all time until the Switch came out, and honestly, I have a lot of fond memories with this purple lunchbox. So, that's what this episode will be about. Released in 2001, the Nintendo Gamecube, originally codenamed Dolphin, was a console I wouldn't end up getting until my birthday in 2003, and I got a couple of games with it. Zelda Collector's Edition, and the Mario Kart Double Dash demo disc, and the latter was pretty fun, since there was a lot of options and movies of upcoming games for the console, including, say, Pokemon Coliseum. Though it was so early in development that not only was the gameplay Japanese, but they used, of all fucking things, Comic Sans for the Coliseum portion of the logo. Like, bruh. But, yeah, those two were all I had for a while, and I got some really good enjoyment with those games. Especially since it gave me a chance to experience not only the first two Zelda games on the NES, but also the N64 Zelda games, since I didn't get to play them on the N64 as a kid. Looking back on it nowadays, the N64 emulation on the Collector's Edition is very fucking wonky, and it's especially bad on Majora's Mask. Seriously, no joke, I finished Great Bay Temple, and then after that, the game not only crashed, but it erased my entire save of Majora, so I had to redo it all over again. But despite that, I still fucking love this collection, and it did introduce me to the Zelda franchise, and I'll always be grateful for that. Speaking of collections, though, I ended up getting both Sonic Main Collection and Gems Collection, and it was really fun to experience the Sonic games I didn't grow up with, while also seeing stuff like the comic covers and a short history of Sonic video years before the internet became more widely used by the global population. Gems Collection was also one of the few ways people could experience Sonic the Fighters until it came to PSN, XBLA, and Like a Dragon Gaiden years later, so that was cool. Another cool thing? Definitely the controller. It wasn't a stupid dog bone like the SNES, nor was it a colossal mess in the hands like the N64. It's comfy to hold, the buttons are spaced out really well. I love the analog triggers on this. It basically depends on how much force you put into said trigger button, so it's helpful in racing games, and even Sunshine took advantage of it, so that's fucking cool. The C-stick is an actual fucking stick and not buttons on it like it was on the N64, so that was a welcome change. This is a really damn good controller. Probably my second favorite of all time, only getting beaten by the Xbox 360 controller. That shit's goated. And I always went on my way to use one on Nintendo consoles that came out after the GameCube when they were available because they were super comfy and great to use. The GameCube is also where I fully got into my Sonic phase, since I played pretty much every Sonic game on the console except for Riders 1. Now, the Adventure Duology has been ported over so many times since then, but the original GameCube ports still held up the best personally, especially in terms of its audio department, because if you play, say, the Steam port without a mod, the audio balancing is a fucking mess. I put so many hours into grinding these stages to get the right materials for my Chow and then transferring them over to Sonic Advance to further raise them up when I wasn't on the console. I never did get all the emblems on my GameCube copy. I don't even think it works anymore since they've gone through a lot of scratches, but I did eventually get all the emblems on the Steam version, so there is that. Another game I had fun memories of was this game called Freakstyle, one of the very few EA games I own looking back in my collection. So this was a racing game with no power-ups, but did get points based on the tricks you did, and the more you got, the higher these 2 meters would fill up, and once you got this red one filled up all the way, you hit all 4 combo buttons, and as long as you land without crashing, you get a massive fucking speed boost with flames coming out of your exhaust pipe. And you can even extend the length of this boost by doing more tricks, so you not only smoke your opponents in speed, but you also look really damn cool doing so. This shit's awesome. Less cool are the playable characters being composed of pretty much all FMX racers, because then it makes me realize this game is over 20 years old, and oh my god, I'm old. I also got to experience some of the classic GameCube games like Wind Waker and the first Luigi's Mansion, but I no longer physically own those games, so I can't really talk much about them in this video. Then again, that's probably for the best, because if I talked about Wind Waker, that video would likely be about as long, if not longer than my Spiteworks video, and I think I've gone on lengthy ones for a bit. God, that was a pain to edit. Bitch, you weren't even the one that edited it, I did, whatever. On a lighter note, I did get to experience some of the more so party games for the system. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour is a fantastic time with friends. Melee can be a lot of fun with friends, even if the game has its fair share of mechanical issues. Mario Party 7 is a great time with friends, especially since it allowed for 8-player minigames. And Strikers can also be pretty fun for a weekend before I shoved it in the closet until it's time for another party. Actually, on that note, I'm gonna give a hot take. A lot of these Mario sports games are only really fun when played with friends or family, otherwise I'm not playing them too often because it gets very fucking boring playing single player after a while. That's also why when the Mario Sports Switch games came out, I wasn't as angry as others were, because these games, even as early as the N64, are only really fun when played with friends, personally speaking. So I didn't really care about the single player stuff not being that deep, or the trickling of free updates over the lifespan of the Switch games, because I wasn't playing these games all that often anyways, unless I had friends over, so it just felt like more of the same when said Switch games came out. hence the lack of anger. Really, it's just, you play it for a weekend with friends, and then you chuck it in the closet. That's how it was for me on the N64, that's how it was on the GameCube and Wii, and that's also how it was for the Switch 1 and 2. Speaking of hot takes, how about I get into my thoughts on Heroes, since that would also be one of the early games I got for the console. Not in 2003, probably about a year later. Back then, I thought this was really fucking cool. The different teams and cast of characters, the stages were a lot of fun, the special stages were really fun to go through, the opening song was catchy as fuck, music is fantastic, the story was fucking fun, but looking back on it as an adult, it has a lot of cracks. The movement can be a little slippery at points, the game can get very repetitive since you're going through the same stages with all 4 teams, albeit with different missions or difficulties. The rail grinding mechanic fucking sucks in this game, oh my god, this is atrocious. But honestly, that's about it. It's a flawed Sonic game, and definitely not my favorite 3D Sonic game, but I appreciate the attempt nonetheless. At its core, I still find it to be a very fun Sonic game. But with this bright light must come darkness. Let's talk about Shadow the Hedgehog. Ah yes, this edgy fucking disaster of a game that spit in the face of every Sonic fan and is one of the worst Sonic games ever! Until 06 came out, and then Boom came out, and then Forces came out. But now it's been at least 20 years since the game came out.
Stop reminding me that I'm fucking old.
I think this game is very similar to Heroes. It's good, but very flawed. Definitely more so than Heroes, personally. The movement being slippery is still there, and the game can get very repetitive since you need to get all 10 endings in order to unlock the final story. It does all the other endings, but whatever. And some of the level design is not that great, but at its core, I can appreciate the attempt to make a non-traditional Sonic game while also inadvertently marketing to goth culture that was growing at this point in the 2000s. Yeah, the story is incredibly fucking stupid. Yes, Black Doom sucks ass as an antagonist, and some of the graphics look fucking terrifying, but the audio is still good. I like the mission structure each level gave you, each offering unique and differing options depending on said level, and the vehicle/gunplay is handled pretty well personally. I put in so many damn hours playing this game, getting all the endings, trying to get all those fucking keys. Even playing this game a decade after I last picked it up, I wanted to keep playing and do it all over again because I was having genuine fun with it. But I also had to restrain myself because then you wouldn't see this video until November or something, and I have a lot of videos planned. The point is, this is also a very flawed Sonic game. But I still have a lot of fun with it, even after all this time. But that's just me. Lots of a controversial game to talk about is Pac-Man World 2. This game is a lot of fun still, the music and levels are fantastic, the story's pretty good, even the controls and graphics hold it pretty well. And no, I didn't fall down that pit 3 times. AI deepfakes are just really damn good nowadays. Okay, I think this is the last one I got for this console, Gun. Yes, that's the name. So in the Wild West, I put in a lot of hours exploring the land, cities, and shooting criminals while drinking moonshine that surprisingly didn't make Colton White go blind, thankfully. You know, while my other friends were playing games like the GTA Trilogy on PS2 or the True Crime games, I was playing a game about a cowboy going around shooting criminals and shooting a guy exploring the Apache and holding them as slaves. However, since this is a game from the 2000s, the game handles the portrayals of indigenous people about as well as doing heart surgery during an earthquake. I am really fucking glad we've tried to do representation of indigenous people much better in recent times because Jesus fuck, this is bad. Oh, and there's also scalping their heads in this game. I fucking hate it here. But yeah, those are all my memories of the GameCube. I'd end up getting a Wii with my family in 2007, 2008, and once in a while I'll play my GameCube games on it, but as time went on, the GameCube served its purpose, and then I moved on to other pastures of gaming. Yes, it's not as powerful as its competitors, nor are third-party games all that great. But I still have a lot of fond memories of this console, and experiencing so many franchises for the first time thanks to it. Hell, while I didn't play them on the GameCube, the console did spawn some great new franchises and or sub-series that are still going to this day. The Pikmin series, Metroid Prime is another one, though I'm not a fan of the first 2 games personally. Hell, this console helped make Animal Crossing and the Monkey Ball franchises popular in the rest of the world, even though their origins were on the N64 and arcade, so that's fucking cool. But yeah, the GameCube is pretty fucking good. At least to me. It's flawed, but it has its charm to it. So what are your memories with the console, if you have any? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Until then, I'm David Grimm, and thank you for watching.